Hey, everybody! Thanks for tuning in to the XP Season 2 commentaries. I am one of the show's creators. My name is Timothy. Who is this with me?
I am one of the other show creators. There's a third one,
Oh.
but you'll never meet them.
Yeah,
My name's
there
Kate.
was a third one.
My name's Kate. Yeah.
This is Kate and Timothy. We're here to do some commentaries. Today we're going to watch episodes 1 through 4 of the second season of Experience Points. Before we get started, it's very important that we lay out the prerequisite joke for all commentaries. Like, it'd be pretty weird if you were watching this before you watched the show. Ha ha ha. So spoiler alert. But go watch that if you haven't watched it yet. Those are really fun. But we're just going to watch them and hyperanalyze them and kind of ruin it, I think, a little bit. Tell you everything that you don't want to know about how the sausage is made. Right, Kate?
Yeah. I love...
Yeah.
Nope.
We're just going to spoil it. It's just going to be not fun for you to watch the original series now. Because
Yeah.
you're going to be like, oh, I know all the backgrounds.
You'll hate us once you see all this dirty laundry, so...
Yeah.
We'll miss you.
So it's we will miss you. Let's do it. Well, we're going to start with the first episode of Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is Season 2, Episode 1. I was going to say it like there was it had a title. It doesn't. It's just Season 2, Episode 1.
We're clever like that.
We're very
It's
clever.
real tricky.
Yeah. I never really wanted to name the episodes. I just felt like that would get hokey fast.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start this one.
Okay.
Oh boy, the suspense.
Just all that music.
There it is. So every time I go to the YouTube page, it starts that music, right? Because that's our, like, returning subscribers video. And Hallie's always like, watching it again, huh? I'm like, no, I'm just going to YouTube. Like,
God.
she's acting like I'm some sort of weird. Let's give a shout out to Ben, our SFX. Is that the right letters?
Yeah, or G...
No, that's sound effects.
GFX.
GFX, yes. These text messages are super killer. They're rad. I was so happy. The first moment I saw them, I realized that all of Season 2 was going to work based just on these texts because they were so good.
And I mean, I want to give like another shout out to like things like Nonstop and Sherlock for giving us ideas of how to do better
that's true.
like text bubbles and stuff because
they're
so
they're in House of Cards is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They use them.
we
in
drew
that,
a lot from that. There was like a lot of discussion about how these should look. Honestly,
That's good
Yeah,
because they look sexy as hell.
yeah, he did a great job.
Shout out to Lyft, not sponsoring us.
Shout out to Big Bear for not having any snow when we needed
Oh
it.
yeah, this is supposed to be Minnesota. This is definitely California.
Definitely
Hardcore.
But it was February.
It was
To
February.
our
There was like
credit.
a huge discussion of where we should go, and there were like 3 or 4 aborted attempts to drive up to places that might have snow in, like, not NorCal, but like up in the mountains. And it all came down to this. It's Mount Baldy, right? It's not Big Bear.
Yeah,
It's
wherever we were.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
none of
That's what
them
I
were
mean.
great.
We didn't even go to Big Bear. We went to Mount Baldy, which, like, thankfully had this nice little housing development with like Christmas lights and like like conifer trees, so it kind of looked vaguely Minnesotan.
Yeah.
Fun fact: I don't know if I want to spoil this, but the reason that my scarf is pulled over my face in those couple of shots is because I was an absolute dingus and shaved my beard slightly too early, like a weekend before I should have. Because I was supposed to have a shaved face for one of the flashback scenes, the original cast, and then we ended up shooting the things slightly different order. So yeah, I got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
It's not good.
That's
It's
fine.
not good.
We punted
I was
with it.
I was such a loser. I felt so bad for like a week and a half. I was like, I'm a criminal.
Whatever.
I've ruined XP.
I
Especially because
mean-
it's the first shot. Like, can you imagine opening with a huge continuity error like that? Like,
Yeah.
let's just shatter everyone's
We would have
faith
had
in
to
the
cut
show.
everything else. That kitchen stuff
Yeah.
that we just showed was some of the first or last stuff that we shot on location.
Yeah,
too.
that last day.
We did like a
but
day
now
of like
we-
extra cutscenes. It was just like everything, like the bathroom scene,
Right.
that opening, a bunch of other stuff. Lots of people entering through the doors just to get.
I think that was Tori's stuff
Yep.
too that day, right? Yeah. Vaughn, the roommate. This is now in the garage of that same house. This is the Morella house in North Hollywood. We're kind of faking it as a basement. But I think we never 100% say one way or the other whether it's a basement or a garage.
It's a man
It could
den.
kind of be either. Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be Jordan's man cave. It has a lot of sort of garage-esque things like, you know, weights and the jack-o'-lantern and the weird crappy old fridge,
Yeah.
the dog kennel and stuff. Yeah, we had fun turning this space into like a set because it was really not that when we first moved in. It was just kind of like a garage. They were storing things in it. We had to move everything around. And,
a lot of good textures in there. It was like good to create. Kind of a tight space. I want to give a shout out to that hamburger poof back there because I think that really ties the room together as a man.
You can barely see it, but there is a hamburger poof that we bought because we just wanted something really demeaning for Alan to sit by, and there it is.
There's a hamburger poof.
I remember Kate, like, I think maybe you went shopping without me, or I don't remember if I was there on the day of hamburger poof. I think I wasn't because I think you were like, I have something, and you were like trying to pitch me hardcore on this poof. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. I wasn't like opposed to it.
I was so worried, and I returned it because I'm a criminal.
You did return it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you would have kept the poof.
No, I thought about it. I was like, there's no way they'll take it back. It's been sitting on the ground for like a week, but it was sitting on a carpet, so you can't tell. Well, which is good, but like that curtain thing right behind Timothy, the one that's all patterned, is just the other side of that is our crafty table, and then like it's like 5 feet of space between where people are and where the garage door is. There's not a lot of space at all in there.
Shout out to Katie Cullen and Megan Salinas for having a cameo. Also Max Heish as well. Playing the thankless role of whoever the 4th member of this adventuring party is.
Oh, I named
him. It has no dialogue. Oh, what's his name?
In the credits. I named him after the philanthropist guy from Jurassic Park. Hammond.
Hammond?
Yeah.
Hammond. Okay. That's a weird party. Hammond. I think there's always one person in every XP party that has like a crazy name that no one would have.
Yeah.
Like Nadine. I guess this one doesn't. Kelsey, Vanessa, Jordan, Sam. They're all pretty normal names.
Yeah.
Here enter Steve Maloney as Jordan, and his chair, his throne.
Yeah.
Which I like that chair a lot. I'm glad that we were able to borrow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's your wide. That's the setup.
There it is.
That's cute.
Always a target behind Vanessa's head.
Vanessa's had this deep commentary about how she feels besieged and surrounded by adversaries. Yeah. Yeah, let's see, what else do we say about this? There's so much going on in this first episode, like I don't want to miss anything, you know. Once we like get into the gameplay, I think it settles down a little bit.
A lot of Simulog.
Yeah. And now we transition into game. Ooh, look at that split screen. Yeah, one thing that was interesting about this season that we didn't do in the previous season, obviously, is that these are new people, and this is the beginning of a campaign. So we kind of had this pre-roll in the beginning of Alan talking you through how it's going to go and everyone introducing their characters. Whereas in the first season, you're just kind of thrown into the middle of the action. You don't really feel like you know. You're meant to feel excluded from the history and who these characters are specifically until you kind of see them in action. Whereas here, it's the opposite. You get to see, you experience them at the same time that everybody else does. So it's a little bit different to write, and I hope that it's still translated. But I think it did. I think it still feels like XP. Alan's little whiteboard action. I'm currently playing in a game where I do the whiteboard thing and the titles, and the whole party has become obsessed with like trying to figure out what's going to happen in the episode by like analyzing the title, like looking at it and being like, it says this. Okay, well, that can't be good. This is ruination. It seems bad. Things like that. Yeah.
Something else that was kind of different with this season that we did is we filmed it and then we put a crop on it in post. So at first that kind of made split screens interesting because we lost, like the top and the bottom. But then I think it looks prettier. But I remember exporting something and showing it to you, and I was worried about it, and then you hated it because it exported weird. So there was like a black square around the entire thing or something, right?
Yes.
It's just like, what?
And it was really crazy because like you were like, I just really think it makes it look better, and I was like looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I really don't like this. But like Kate knows a lot more about like aspect ratio and stuff than I do, so I didn't feel like I could like say anything that was like I couldn't like wave a technical dick, right? Like Kate's gonna kick my ass. So I'm like, I don't know if it really works for me. I'm sorry. And then like I think I like showed it to you, and you were like, whoa, wait, that looks horrible. And I was like, okay, thank you.
It's very funny misunderstanding.
One of those perfect Fiddler on the Roof misunderstandings. We're both talking about different things. Cool. Yeah, we're meeting Bashara. I want to give a shout out to Eliza in general. This is like not a great example of it. It happens a lot more later. Of being a champ at like memorizing and reciting and owning stuff that like does not make sense to her. Like she does not a 5th edition D&D player. She plays a lot of games, but this just wasn't a system she was familiar with.
Or at least not at the time.
Not at the time. I'm sure she probably is much more now. But when we filmed it, it was still pretty new to her. And so like there were just lots of things. She plays the character like obviously Kelsey. I don't know if you're watching this and you haven't seen the show yet. Spoilers. You know, plays the character that knows the most about the rules in and out, and so the notion of like all these things she had memorized that are it's just gobbledygook essentially.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like a tenuous connection to understanding what it means, having played other games, but like I just felt bad that we saddled her with all of this technical jargon. She was a champ, like you can't tell. That's great. Yeah, he was fucking Steven.
Steven, I will say for him, he probably moved around the most of all of the characters.
Yeah.
But his continuity is on point. Like
That's
everything
great.
that he does that is so casual, like just like grabbing a beer and taking a drink, or like any of the little props he interacts with, is consistent in each take, which was just super impressive because it seems like stuff he'd forget. Or, you know, or just like offhanded doing, but like he's just a champ at his continuity.
He's got like sort of hyper motion, like the character's very restless. They're always bouncing around and stuff, and so I struggle with that, like because I have so many props back there that it's like, what do I pick up and which hand is holding the pencil and like, crazy stuff. But I don't have anywhere near his superpowers in terms of continuity.
Even just like when he chooses to cross his legs, there were very few moments, and I was just like, oh
shit.
But for the most part, it's just crazy.
It feels like one of the, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you would know better, but is that helped by having so much coverage that like if you do find a continuity error, is it easy to cut around, or is it kind of you have to grin and bear it?
For the most part, it was easier to cut around, or with split screen, it's helpful because I can just be like, well, I guess I will only cut this person or whatever. But if they're, like, say his foot gets in someone else's frame, that gets harder.
Right.
So if he's taking up a lot of space or moving around a lot, like, then it's noticed if someone, like, dips in or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. Here's Paul. What a boy. We were really happy to get to work with these four. Trying to think of like the provenance of these guys. Steven was originally cast as Perkins in the first season, actually. And then because of scheduling conflicts, it didn't work out, we ended up going with Kevin. So it was nice to get him back in. And I think a part, honestly, that suits his personality and his like skills better. Not that he couldn't have played a great Perkins, but I'm really happy we landed with him on Jordan, because I think he brings something to the character that I have a tough time imagining anybody else doing in his same sort of encourageable way.
Yeah.
And Paul is Paul. Paul's great. I want to work with Paul on every project, if that's possible. He's such a darling boy. And then Megan, I think Megan auditioned for the first season, right? She was like, it was like down to her and Nadine, down to her and Heather for Nadine. I think we ended up going with Heather, but we're like, man, Megan really killed that audition. We should get her in there somewhere, and we did.
I feel like they just all, well, everybody too, like Timothy included, everybody just naturally, I feel like, worked really well together. And part of that I think helped because Steven and Paul are old friends of yours, so like that there was that comfort there, which made sense in the story, but like you weren't as familiar with Megan or Eliza, so but like everybody just, I feel like they just all worked well together, and the amount of times that Megan has eye rolls towards Steven is just
prodigious.
so
here's
great.
One right now. And then with Eliza, I just think we got really lucky. We knew her like sort of tangentially, like I'd met her a couple of times. We know the people at the Improv Theater, okay. We sort of on a lark were like, hey Lisa, do you want to be in our silly show? Like, please. And she was totally game and super awesome and supportive, and she's such a rock star. We were really like flattered and excited when she said yes. And look at all the great work she does. Like now in this shot. Or this shot.
It was a very fun group.
I was going to make a dumb joke. Please sincerely talk about how much fun.
Or this shot. Is that what you're going to do?
I was. She's not in this shot, so, that wouldn't have made any sense.
She's acting the crap out of it over there, though.
Yeah, you can't see her, but she's killing it.
She is. I also, with this season, got, I think, a couple more angles. At least we did of Timothy, which was nice. because I know we were limited last season, but we got at least 3 angles of coverage worth of him, and then the wide, and we got more pairings and stuff with people this season. I'm not sure how that worked out, but
I think it really gives it a lot of extra life. I feel like it bounces around more. Because again, it's one of the tricky things, which again you can talk to more than I can, but like it's tough not to have it feel stagnant. Like it could easily feel stagnant. This like 3 hours of 4 people sitting in the same place over and over and over again. And like I don't think it ever has, but I like that this gives us even more options. The more coverage you get, the more like different combinations of things. We haven't got into the real thick of it yet, but man, some of the split screens in this season are so pleasing to me. I'm a big fan. Like just every season they get crazier. I can't wait for future seasons to see how bonkers they're gonna be. Yeah. So pressure on Kate.
Well, we're always like filming it a slightly different way, which I think helps it. The only thing that was hard about this season is the Alan Sam split screens, because they're just on the axis, so it's like it was like a weird like. It never quite worked out, which the way it did with the other season, because they're around a table, so you can get those clear sight lines. But this one is very much more of a stage, which is interesting. Right, But it's kind of like an after-school special, like, oh, we're here in our clubhouse hanging out.
Yeah, it does have that vibe. Nice. Where like in the first season, you don't really have a Y where you can see everyone's face, like not completely. Yeah. You're like either I think we were behind you and Heather, right, in that wide.
Yeah.
So you can see the guys, but the girls are gonna turn away. There's one player one, right? There's the one that's like, if this will help people.
It's next to your screen, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'm not in that one, right. But the players are. But this one, yeah, you're right. We do have wides where you can literally see everyone's face, and I didn't think about that until just now. That's interesting.
It has a very kind of like sitcom feel almost.
Yeah, there's like a fourth wall for sure in this one. Like I don't feel like people would really sit like this thinking about it if you were gonna play D&D. Hey, that's the end of the first episode.
Theme music. Never gets old to me.
No, it's really good. Yeah, we end with combat, which I thought was important. Hey, Chris Perkins.
Hey.
Shout out to Chris Perkins. He's a good guy. What a champ. Great. Awesome. Okay, what was your favorite part of episode 1, season 2? Put you on the spot.
Do you have one? Down. Like, do you want to go first while I'm thinking about it?
Do I have one? Boy, it's hard not to just say like the incredible and like incisive writing, you know, that like that's so crisp and like really insightful about the nature of the game. No, I like the character introductions because I think it sets up the tone almost to me, like how these characters are going to interact pretty well. Like more in their performance necessarily than the way that it's written, but you can see their various like Vanessa gets excited and then gets disappointed, and Jordan is bombastic and doesn't really care who other people are and what they're doing. It's all about his character, and Sam is kind of half-heartedly like, yeah, here he is, here's my guy, I haven't thought about it. But then when pressured, has a couple cool ideas, right? And then Kelsey is a little taken aback by the idea of like, I guess she looks like this. I hadn't really thought about what my character looks like because I was mostly just picking her spells, you know. So I like the intros. I think it's a nice little litmus test for how they're going to act in the rest of the show. What about you, Kate? You pick one now. It can be something silly. It could be like a fun memory. I'm just trying to put some filler content in the middle here, Kate.
Way to call it out.
Well, what's wrong with that? Let's be honest with the fans.
I like how we kind of are introduced to everybody. I think that's fun. You know, like we see Alan, who we're familiar with, and he's in a very different place. And we're like, oh, what's this mean? And then we see Sam in like a very friendly, welcoming way. We hear Jordan because he's just kind of absent and whatever. And he comes in later and just like is typical him. And then Vanessa and Kelsey just kind of there and like discussing stuff. I don't know, like it's
like already arguing a little bit, right? Like that's the first thing we see of them is they're kind of sniping at each other. It just doesn't set it up well.
Yeah. It's like if you listen, like if you take the time to like piece out everybody's monologue in those scenes and everything, like there's a lot of I think fun texture that can be gleaned in just 2 pages about their characters. So.
It is really insightful. Like the joke was that like I know obviously my favorite part is how good the writing is. And then we both talked about the writing. Oh no.
Well, that's okay. I won't talk about the writing anymore. And
Please
only
don't.
Talk about the
I would feel more comfortable that way. All right, we ready to roll into episode 2?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Here we go. The suspense. So we're starting with a combat. This is the fight against the Sandfolk Raiders.
Oh, the dice this time. Dice Day was still a long Dice Day, a long Valentine's Day for everybody. But something that, and this may or may not have been writing, but instead of telling us what both dice rolled, this time it was just one, which was just way.
That was just a lesson we learned in the first season. Was if you're rolling with advantage, only say the higher number, so that way you could kind of fudge it and get whatever else you need on the other dice, as long as it's lower, right? I feel like there aren't as many shots of 2 dice getting rolled. Is that a thing? Did we really do
because
that?
People only they rolled one and then they rolled a second.
One at a time.
So no one had 2 dice at the same time either, which was kind of helpful because I could cheat it a lot easier.
Yeah, we did that a lot, I think, in season 1. There's a lot of advantage. And it's like, Greg in particular, I remember having 2 dice a lot. And that was just like a big pain. To the point where I think we had Ben, digitally put some numbers on die, because we just couldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do roll every die. It's not like if we roll 1, 2, we use that 2 forever. Like we roll if 8 2s.
Different
8 2s are rolled throughout the season. That needs to be noted.
It's a whole day of it, Dice Day. Yeah, I don't think it was as, not bad, but, the first season I remember being a very long and stressful day. Yeah. Ooh, I love those split screen. That's so good.
All hail Yogg.
All hail Yogg. That's true. The little Yogg reference in there. Not intentional, I don't think. But
completely intentional. Yogg is everything. First season Dice Day was miserable.
Pretty miserable. But I think it went really smooth the second day because we had a bunch of other things. We were doing a bunch of pickups that day too, right? It was all the interior house stuff, and it was fine. We breezed right through.
Yeah,
went well. And for the first time, we're seeing Alan's rolls. In the first season, we did not because we were not really in his POV in the first season. But we decided to add them in here.
A lot more focus is given to Alan too, and just smaller side shots and stuff because this is his story this time, whereas before it was more about the ensemble and less about him.
I feel like it was more Mac's story in the first season, right? It's about being the new player, and here it's about the new campaign and being the Dungeon Master. What will season 3 be about, I wonder?
I don't know.
We do know. But we can't tell you, because it's
We'll never tell you.
It's a great season that no one will see. We'll make it, but we won't release it. It'll just be unlisted links on YouTube, or private links on YouTube the entire time.
Just for us.
And we'll tweet about how good it is, but you'll never get a chance to watch it.
Anyway.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Don't give away the secrets.
You're right. Here we are in combat. We're talking about Wild Shape, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is that you have that memorized. This is one of those instances of her just spewing out the stats for a giant hyena on the top of her head, right?
That's a bonus action. So as an action, I would like to
she's good.
Fight attack. Giant hyena attack.
And Eliza bought her own dice tower.
She did.
To roll in.
Dice tray.
Yeah, that's cute.
So cute. What a cutie. A cutie patootie. We still have a problem. This is a tiny gripe for me. I always forget to write space in the dialogue for the sounds. Alan, I make a lot of sounds as a DM, so I will instead of saying words sometimes, I will just make a noise to indicate that something has happened. But I never reflect that in the script. So then when we get to performance, I'm like, oh, there should be a growl here. Where does it go? I don't write them in. I need to be better about that maybe for season 3, specifically writing those in.
Plus your proficiency bonus.
Yeah, there's the trick with the door too. So it's blacked out, right?
Broad daylight.
Super broad daylight out there. It's really not.
So I had to do some weird cropping.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get a pickup of
creative cropping
of him coming back in with the beers.
So
that's
this one. Yeah.
That's why this is this way. Because
wasn't there almost a no? I think it's a different scene. We almost did a pickup and we just never ended up grabbing it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I wanted this one too. I wanted him walking in with beers, but I think by the time we were finally able to do it, his beard was too long.
Totally different. Yeah.
So it's it could, if it's argued that it's the basement, it could just seem like it's the inside light.
I can't find it. I gotta keep
yeah.
going. You guys can skip me.
Who knows? Who knows?
You really don't see it though.
Yeah.
I think the way you cut it, I also kind of like that we lose his face that whole time.
Yeah.
That we see him monkey and he walks back behind them. I don't know. It feels like a reveal when he sits down with it.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to talk about some of the inspirations while we're talking about the booze hall for the season. Yeah, so I have had a couple of these experiences of DMing for new groups that have not always gone great, and so I was like, this one in particular, I was inspired by one of the games we ran up here in Seattle. It wasn't as disastrous as it's like depicted here. We ended up making the campaign work, but there were like some early hesitations. A lot of the personality types that you're seeing here are things I encountered when I was up here in Seattle, and Booze was one of them. Where I was very hesitant at the idea of a player drinking during the game. And more hesitant than I needed to be. Like, it wasn't always my favorite thing, but as long as I think as long as the group is okay with it, it should be fine. But the notion is that Alan is not really great at communicating some of those things and laying some of those things out. So he struggles to intercede in the argument, and he struggles to help Sam with his character, and he struggles to, like, be okay with Jordan's drinking, right? Like, a lot of, as much as it seems like Alan is the victim here, I think a lot of it can be put on him too. That if he was a slightly better DM or better at handling these problems, he could have interceded earlier, but doesn't. He kind of gets paralyzed.
Well, because he just wants it and needs it so much that it is more scary.
He's so scared to ruin it by stepping in. Yeah. And yeah, especially in the first season, he just seems like this, like, all-knowing, all-powerful, like, he's planned for everything, and everything is under his control, and, like, we wanted to do the opposite here and have him feel really on shaky ground the whole time. I think it comes across. People had some feels, which is good. Anyway, yeah, not to talk about the writing too much, but that was a big inspiration for this season. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I feel like I had a note and I can't.
Oh shit!
Remember?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I was blathering.
It'll come back to me.
I don't know if we've seen it yet. I'm excited to see his dancey feet.
Oh yeah, I don't think when he's about to run. I think
when he's running. Yeah.
There it is.
There they are. Dancey feet.
One thing I will say for like next season, if we do any more,
don't say that.
Is that we should they would know their roles, or they would want to know the math so quickly that they'd be like, it's a 17 and a 9. And it's like, if you're rolling one dice, I need more time.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes that got a little like hairy, especially with Alan, which we could write off as him just like knowing the math because he's been doing it for so long. But like sometimes like there's a lot of damage rolls that are just like that's 3, 9, 12, 28 damage.
He's rolling so fast.
Well,
yeah, I think part of it is that like the last thing you want to do is have a lot of time be spent in the show with him like realistically adding it up in his head. But but if it becomes an editing problem, then maybe we're going too far in the other direction.
So quick, sure. But yeah, it was just sometimes funny. Where I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, how much of a polymath is he? Like, how? Like what kind of a beautiful mind situation is this, where he's capable of rolling and adding that
so quick? So it's just funny. And part of that too is maybe letting go of showing every single roll, which we kind of go away from as the season moves on, which we did in season 1 too. It's just like we show the rolls a little bit less because at that point, it's like less about it.
They believe us. Yeah,
it's less about it, but like maybe that's part of future seasons to just.
Does that mean I'm wounded? A little dinged up.
Just find the balance. Yeah, and you know, just I also think it's tough too because especially towards the end of the season, there's so many rolls.
Yeah,
it's like way more than there was even in the first, because everyone's constantly rolling to try to escape. I mean, spoilers, Athomotep, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it's probably a balance to be struck.
Yeah,
stricken, striked. All those are right. You can use them interchangeably. Stroke, I think it's stroke. Balance to be struck, stricken, striked, a stroke. Mm-hmm.
More hyenas. Jeremy's dice for anyone paying attention.
Oh, Jeremy's dice. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I thought you said Jeremy, and I was like, oh, who's that?
Nope.
I had imagined this guy Jeremy that we went to college with. Like, Jeremy Walton's dice, really? I didn't know he played.
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is a good joke for all of the viewers who also know Jeremy Walton. Yeah, that's cool. I'm trying to think. The Megan's dice are my dice, my pirate dice. Mm-hmm. Jordan's dice are also my dice, my dwarf dice. Mm-hmm. And I think Sam's are mine too. We wanted like the most.
Just bland,
the joke with Sam's dice.
White dice.
Yeah, they're white dice because it's like snow or whatever. But at the same time, that like Jordan lent Sam like his worst, least exciting set of dice that he that like he has more, but he's like, here, you can have these ones.
You gotta earn better dice. You're just a white belt in dice right now.
I think we even said that like because the D6s don't match the set. The D6s are like Monopoly dice.
Yeah.
They're like regular chitted like gamblers dice that he didn't even have sixes.
I think they say bicycle on one side of them. Like I think they're like.
God, that's so funny. Oh, I love this scene. I love the way those two play off of each other. Like it could be. I think like in my head when I wrote it was way more hostile, but the notion of it being this like very weird, passive aggressive. Like, did they fight? What was that?
Yeah.
It gives it a lot of history. Like it feels like they have these weird half arguments sometimes where it just never gets resolved and it's really tense in the room and they just change the subject.
And it feels tense too on set, and then we have to cut, and then everyone's fine and like laughing. And like there's one take that Megan does where she's like taking the book away and like dice go everywhere. We had to be like
everywhere. Yeah, we gotta dial this back.
Reset.
So early. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we did one. It's the beginning of episode 7, which we'll get to. But where Adam the cinematographer was like, guys, it's so weird in here. Like the cinematographer was like felt uncomfortable. It's so tense.
Yeah.
He's normally just like on his phone because he sets him up and then.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this like holy ice crackles over their body and they freeze in place for a second. What's the damage?
God, I love Paul. Paul is funny because he plays like the sort of reluctant D&D player in this, right? Oh, okay, real quick, sorry. He rolls his dice in the weirdest way I've ever seen anyone roll their dice before, where he picks them up and then like an eagle in the Hobbit, he like drops it and it like falls and hits and then rolls. Like he doesn't roll them, he goes boom every time. And, like he won't. I don't know why, and he's never rolled it the other way, and it's just like a weird Paul thing. I don't know where he picked that up from. No, but he's funny because he plays sort of the reluctant D&D player, but he is the most voracious D&D player I have ever met in my entire life. Like, he wants to play every day, all the time, which, you know, is great. I want to encourage that behavior in more people.
Beautiful. That comes
Let's see. Doing some unarmed strikes.
9 damage total.
Yeah, you had this guy no matter what. What does his kill look like?
Megan's so cheerful. What a happy person.
Yeah.
Whenever she gets what she wants, she's just all smiles. But only when she gets what she wants. Vanessa, I should say, not Megan. Vanessa. That's not what I mean.
I mean, I hope that for Megan too as a person. But.
Yeah, right.
If you listen closely in all of the episodes, you can hear the faint chirping of a cricket, which was our fucking bane the entire shoot. And it was February, but they exist out here in LA all the time.
In Los Angeles, yeah, there's always crickets.
So that was real frustrating.
And so now and again, our sound guy, who's like back up against the garage door, would pound the garage door to try to scare the one cricket away. Which we just love the idea of this cricket, this one lonely cricket, like in the garage, like with this little violin, like they forget.
If I play enough, then I have to score this for them, and they can't say no anymore.
Right, yeah, exactly.
There's some really good outtakes of, like, people, like, getting set up, or, like, you know, Steven and Paul goofing off, or whatever. And then I'll just be like, everybody hold, and I'll bang the garage door. And then everyone was like, oh, Kate, no, please.
Yeah.
So it's the only evidence of me directing was me just banging a garage door to try and get everyone to listen to me.
Yeah. Just temperamental.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Past that domed entrance.
We also had a lot of helicopters, was the other thing.
Yeah.
North Hollywood has a lot of police helicopters that go circling around.
Yep.
So we used to make jokes about it being Pizza Patrol en route to deliver the pizza.
It was a busy little street for it being kind of like otherwise quiet, but
we thought it was going to be really ideal because it's like squeezed in the back. It's in the middle of North Hollywood. It's like not really near anything. And like, nope, lots of traffic, lots of helicopters.
She actually stops.
Who knows?
At one point and turns the shoulder.
yeah. Also, something like interesting too about how this is filmed is that it's the first season was very kind of like blue and cold and like little dungeony, and this one is very kind of like golden and warm and optimistic, which
deserty, you know.
It's kind of an interesting. Thank you, Andrew Finch, for helping color it, and Adam
it looks great.
for filming it.
Also, thanks to this delicious split screen. Oh shit, that's the end. It's weird when you don't really listen to it, when you're just talking over it, the episodes feel like they end really abruptly. You know, like oh, that's the end. Like, well, right, I wasn't listening, I wasn't paying attention.
Crap.
Great. Cool. Well, I won't ask you what your favorite part from the second episode was because you did not like it when I did it the first time, and now we're kind of fighting a little bit.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Well, let me tell you this, person watching it. What was your favorite part? comment below with your favorite part of episode 2.
Yeah.
What do you like the most? I believe the internet parlance for that is the doobly-doo, is the space below. Comment in the doobly-doo.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a specific reference to a particular famous YouTuber who calls it the doobly-doo. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah.
Great. We're going to roll right through on episode 3. Hopefully this time we will talk about the show and less about the crickets.
I don't know. That cricket was pretty important.
No, the cricket was pretty pivotal. I agree. I totally agree.
Pivotally annoying.
Whoa, savage. That's some true shade.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's roll into episode 3.
Rolling.
Professor Screw-Eye does not appear in season 2.
In any way.
I apologize.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah. Yep, here we go. So we are still in combat. Wayfinder just ran away. Disappeared in the smoke. Nope, in the sand.
Oh.
Not in the smoke. Big gaff. Smokegate.
You're not even a real fan of XP, are you?
You're right. I'm a fake gamer girl. Okay, yeah, we're rolling straight through. We have 2 episodes of combat right away at the beginning, which again, trying to find ways to differentiate the 2 seasons. There's that run. A crazy boy. But there are actually a couple of touchdowns that are pretty similar. They once again get stumped by a door, and have to figure. There's gonna have to be a door in season 3 too. Now it has to be.
But it has to be resolved immediately.
Yeah, it's like the first thing. Like, oh, it's this.
There's a door. Has anyone tried just opening it?
It's a button. Yeah,
they open it.
Just not.
Great, you walk in. Oh.
You walk in. That's really funny. I like that a lot.
Wow. Then yes. You do see another Sam.
Drinking my tea.
The storm clears a second, and you can see one.
What's going on, Kate? Talk to me about this episode.
Emerging from.
I'm trying to think. I mean, this would be day 2. So
we
had the first day. The first day under our belt, which was. It's nice because that day is always, as far as like garage stuff goes, is shorter because we normally have the intro and then like the stuff that isn't split screen we tend to sort of save either until the end of the day or maybe until like another day entirely. So we kind of just usually start with all of the split screen stuff, and day 1 tends to be shorter, but then also a little bit not as short because we're just getting used to it. So day 2 is usually okay, we're in it. This is how this works.
Right. Yeah.
For the most part, we don't like day 2.
We worked out most
easier,
of the kinks. Right? Yeah, I think so.
Don't have like a break in that, especially towards the end of the season when it was just like all table stuff with no like outside of table stuff. Those days just went real quick, which is nice.
And what we would tend to do is we would just like, unlike a normal shoot where you're getting like a line or the end of a scene or just coverage on one person, we would run the whole 15-minute episode over and over and over again from the different angles, right?
Yeah, it's like a boot camp.
So, but yeah, exactly. And so we would be a little bit sketchy on memorization kind of early as we were running it. But then by the end, we all felt really comfortable, and then of course we moved on. Right, like the moment we're all like, "Cool, I feel good." I mean, that's because we had to memorize so much, right, so quickly. Which credit, I mean, they did, right? Like you can see it there. I don't think we really had any big problems with it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, for the most part, everyone was pretty on it. Even like the later episodes, because I think we get less rehearsal time with like the second half of the show. So people like really stepped it up.
But there was also this fun like team mentality for the actors with this one, where it was like guys, I got nothing on next episode, and everyone's like, okay, let's do it. Like it was like if someone didn't have it memorized, it was like everyone's job to get them off book.
Yeah.
But like not in a bad way, in a like onerous way. It was like, cool, let's do it as a team. Yeah. Like we'll help you. It was a very supportive. I don't know. I liked that a lot. I never felt like there's one person who was always behind, or that anyone was ever on anyone's case about, oh, you're not memorized. Like, we were all very like, it's hard, and it was impossible to keep up. There was no way to do it unless we all worked together, which we did.
And you guys had a lot of like lunchtime sessions where you'd eat and then you'd run it a couple times at lunch, and we would flip which team would be kind of going first, because I think usually Timothy, your stuff in the wide ended up being probably in the middle, if I remember. So it would be like a team of Jordan and Vanessa, or Kelsey and Sam would go first, and then it would flip for the next episode. It was just like camera setup, film it like twice for coverage, move it to the middle, move it to the side. So it's just like 3 rounds, and then maybe sometimes a 4th round of like one camera doing something. So it's very systematic, like 4 hours I think per episode.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, and it was nice with this location too. a lot like the first location, but for the most part, we had a pre-light day where we set dressed and then we set up all of the lighting, and then it really didn't have to be adjusted at all. Where season 1 we had to kind of move a light for each section of coverage, but this time like he was able to just rig it so that when it was up, we really didn't have to adjust it at any point. That saved us a lot of time. Same with the mics. Jonathan at this point had 5 lavs, so everyone was able to be laved, and the sound. The difference between like the sound quality in this season versus the first season is just fantastic because of Jonathan's fantastic kit.
Well, and also, you know, a huge shout out to the patrons for donating the money to help us get that better sound, which we did not have in the first season. Yeah, right. Like this is why the Patreon helps. If you're not a patron, please go to patreon.com/xpwebseries and Patreon has this help making this season.
Everyone had their own dedicated sound system, and I cannot explain to you how much better that made my life and made the season. So.
Yep. If you like what you see, you did it. You are the ones who did it. If you're a patron, if you're not a patron, then what the hell are you doing watching this video? Whoa! Meyer comes out with an aggressive anti-patron stance. Ridiculous. There was a moment earlier, we passed it, because we were deep in discussion about how we shot it, where Paul has one of my favorite reads in the whole show. Oh, we're not at that one yet. We will get to that one today. My favorite performance of his. But he rolls the D8. He goes like, the D8, and he picks it up and goes, yeah, it's the same one that I rolled for Sacred Flame. So. He milks the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Tracy King and the lovely Amy Vorpal here, who appeared in our flashback episode.
And Brie Miller.
Also, yeah. Oh, Brie Miller, that's true. Yeah. And of course Matt Bittner, but who really wants to give him a shout out? He just kind of showed up on set, and we were like, oh, all right, we'll let this scruffy vagabond man
it's so untrue.
into the episode. No, he's a great guy, and was very giving of his time. I'm totally teasing. I'm saying that because we're friends, and I can razz him a little bit. Let's also talk about my like weird 2000s
hair part?
Pop punk haircut.
It's hard to make your hair always look different.
Remember? Oh, totally. That's fine. I have no problem with it. And it's meant to be dated, right? It's meant to be like, what's going on with his hair? When we did the premiere, we screened it outside of the garage. Actually, we'd done on a big projector, and the only time I remember Paul laughing, because Paul doesn't really like to watch himself, was when he saw my haircut. Like, he burst out laughing. Like, that was the one moment that got him in the first 3 episodes of XP, which really made me feel validated that we did that. So you get Paul to laugh, it's a win for sure.
It's also like a joke that we tend to have, that any flashback that they play during the day is like not a good.
Oh, yeah.
There's always a fight that happens when we play.
If it's sunny, it's bad. Yeah. If it's dark out, then it's good. I don't know why that happened, but it's true.
Part of it's circumstance.
Oh, for sure. But now it seems like an intentional choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're always going to be probably set. Like, the main season's going to be set at night, right? Because it's easier to light that than try to get daytime.
Mm-hmm.
Could maybe fake daylight, but I feel like that's way harder.
Yeah, I agree. And, just realistically, getting 5 adults to hang out continually is usually at night.
During the day. Yeah, Although, I don't know, I think that makes sense. I feel like when we played Moon Crash, there are some people who play during the day.
Yeah.
But not us.
No.
Not this group. So stop asking.
Wait, it's Paul.
Like the idea that we... Oh, yeah, right. That's... You fooked a princess. So all of the Scottish dialect in the script is written with 2 Fs. Or two Fs. 2 O's. So for every time we drop the F-bomb, it's fook and fooker, right, is how it's written, to try to emphasize and force Steven to do a Scottish accent, even if he didn't want to. And so Paul's making a reference there, too. It's, you fooked a princess.
And some of his stuff is written sort of with a Scottish accent, but we're like, it'd be better if you just sort of lean into it as you go along, because I feel like he's just shy, so I think that's him being like, I'm trying it.
He's trying it, yeah. And sort of teasing him a little bit, but also just seeing what kind of reaction does this get? Do people like it when I do this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the script was not very clear as to whether or not he would have an accent. I figured that was one of those things we would figure out, and you guys did, and it's cool. I like this one a lot too. I like the levels. Mm-hmm. That's a good split screen.
Common sense.
Oh yeah, the PvP, right? That's the kind of thrust of this episode.
They're fun character intros. And the handshake.
Oh yeah, the handshake. I think we did the handshake.
Did they?
It's in the first episode, yeah. Where it's the like, you know, this guy.
Oh, that's right.
Really half-heartedly, yeah. That's in the beginning.
It's a good one.
This is the Thorvek like waves one, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah. Alec gets nerdy about languages in his world, and no one cares.
Vanessa cared.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. Yeah, this is first little blush of role playing, right? Whereas the season 1 starts with just tons of role play and interaction with Duchess Nightspear and figuring out everybody's kind of dynamics. We get their combat stats sort of first, and then we roll into their various personalities. And once again, Jordan kind of balloons to fill all the space in the room.
Yeah.
I'm about to go to some Simulog. This was one of the trickier ones, if I remember correctly, for me to memorize anyway. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that was just my experience with it, but I remember being like, God, I hate this one. I don't know why.
There's always one.
I mean, I wrote it. Yeah. There's always one. That's the worst. Yeah, I'm like describing the chamber. It was a lot of like feet and like domes and arches, and yeah, it got really repetitive at certain times. Because it's all dungeon stuff, right? Like we get into the dungeon, it's like, oh, so this chamber is 65 feet across, and this chamber is like 55 feet, and this chamber is 60 feet. Like, why are they all so similar? And they all are rough sandstone, or crumbling sandstone, or like gritty sandstone. Like, yeah, this is bad. Not good writing.
6 minus 1 is 5.
Yeah, this recurring joke that the two characters that want to investigate the most are not trained in investigation. Like, no one in the party has a high intelligence, and so they're constantly trying to make history or intelligence checks and constantly failing it. Like, the whole party is bad at the one thing, which I think it's a pretty common D&D experience, right? You get the one fucking blind spot in the whole group. I feel like it's usually perception. That's like a big one.
Maybe there was something in our cargo we didn't know about.
They're cute. These guys are cuties.
Beware, right?
Oh, there's the thumbnail. Sorry. It's the thumbnail for episode 3 is her going, huh? With the pencil. Who cares? Sorry. Weird. I spent a lot of time looking for the thumbnails. Hold on, I got a cough. I hope you all like mine. A husky voice today. I did it just for you. One thing, let me talk about how cool I am and my good continuity. I tried to move the way I'm sitting a lot, based on how Alan was feeling. So he's like a little guarded right now because he's seen some shit already. But he wants to seem like he's in control, and so he has this kind of like evil genius, like hands, like he's protecting himself, but also looks sort of casual. But that was a tough thing, was remembering like what line, where do you do that, and then again, that's nothing compared to how much Steven did. Like I was a lightweight, a baby boy.
But I mean, I think it's a good note to show like you were very consistent about like carrying Alan's changing mood, like his slope throughout this season. I mean, like Jordan's character doesn't change too much in how he moves and stuff, but like you have to kind of like slowly like unfurl.
Where
like
am I
blooming
emotionally?
flower?
Yeah. Like a blooming flowy. Yeah.
Flowy.
A flowy. A lot of that also is typified by how unzipped my shirt is. Like, is he? Because it says Dungeon Master on the shirt, right? It's by the time we get to the end, it's totally open, and he's the Dungeon Master. But like in the beginning, he's very guarded. It's almost zipped to the top.
Am I? Yeah.
Am I the Dungeon Master?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got more coughs. You ready for this? No, didn't even push the button.
You're faking it. You big faker. You faker. You're faking.
I'm not faking it.
No.
That sounds great. I mean, I could leave it on if you want to hear them.
What do you guys think? Comment below.
Comment below in the doobly-doo. Yeah.
Let us know.
What do you think? Am I really sick, or is this all an elaborate ruse to garner sympathy? Great. Let me check my audio recording real quick. It looks good, baby. Let's keep going. One last one for today. We're going to do episode 4. This is the break episode, if I remember correctly. I'll point it out when we get there, but this has my favorite Paul moment in the whole script. And it's actually partially a Kate moment because of how it's edited. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah.
Maybe it's more of a Kate moment than a Paul moment, but I think
I'm the true genius.
I think it's possible. Yeah, it's been discussed. Yeah, cool. I remember. Yeah, this is the first break that's like properly timed. The second break in the season kind of comes earlier than it would normally come when Vanessa sort of forces them into a break, which was your idea actually, Kate. That we moved just to make it a little bit more interesting and unique with the timing, and I think it was a good idea. That's why I implemented it.
Thanks. I forgot.
You're welcome.
Maybe I am not a true genius.
Wait, what do you mean? It was your idea.
Oh,
that does. Yeah. So here we're gonna talk about. We have a fun time log coming up. I like this one between Jordan and Sam.
Oh yeah.
While
really
Vanessa
fun.
and Kelsey are on task, they're goofing off.
Yeah, theirs is really fun. I wish we could have gotten one more read of it because they were like super jokey about it, and like so it didn't quite time out exactly how I would have wanted it to.
Yeah.
But it was so like they had some really good takes, and I just wanted one more that was like maybe a little more stretched out.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
But they're just so like they have such energy together. They just play off each other so well. Yeah. They're such good boys.
I love how much Kem does not land for Alan with everybody. It's like
as though they had like, but it's such a weird, arrogant thing that he thinks that would land, that he thinks anyone would care, right? It's the kind of thing that like with a previous group would have been like, oh shit, but here they're just like, I don't understand what that means, and then he's like trying to be like, you guys, this is really cool, and Vanessa just says it's Egypt, and he's like, yeah, yeah, it's Egypt, you got me. Yeah, so here we go into the simulog, yeah.
You mentioned hieroglyphs?
Very sporadic one. Wisdom perception.
Can I as well?
False. Ridiculous.
He was like mouthing it a little too closely the first take, and I'm like, you need to pretend like you don't know what he's about to say.
Right.
As I mentioned,
that's so funny. I like those two. It was this funny thing where like they were obviously great together and fun to work with, and all the positive things you can say about them, but at the same time like they were super goofy on set, but then they kept justifying it as like, well, we're in character, and I was like, no, you're just being a goof, like you're partially a character maybe, but like also come on. Like
it was hard to tell sometimes when they were goofing around.
Yeah,
like,
the line was very gray. Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, totally. It really translates. It's great. No, nothing wrong with that at all. I just remember there being like, all right, come on now.
And throughout like practice and then filming, we got into the habit of saying Harhad as like a thank you.
Oh my god, that's right.
And Anshani, so it was Harhad, Anshani.
I think Anshani was the thank you, right? It was like
Harhad was just like
Harhad. It was like a preach, like Harhad.
Yeah. So that was very silly. So there's one moment where Steven sneaks in and you know that he's thinking on Shani when he says it. I think he borrows a pencil from Vanessa.
Yes, he put this thing in there in reminiscence of a particular player who shall remain nameless in one of our previous games who would constantly forget their pencil and always need to borrow a pencil, and so he really wanted that to be Jordan in this, and he kept borrowing her pencil and like finding instances where he could like. Johnny, and then like take the pencil.
And I guess I can't say he snuck them in because I allowed them to be put in.
That's true. All right, Kate. Yeah, okay.
But there were no takes without them, so like honestly,
he really
did kind of sneak him in.
Held you hostage there with those. Okay, so this is part of it. I love the way that Paul plays this Pizza Patrol bit. Pizza Patrol. That like obviously Jordan's way over the top, but Paul's subtlety here, he's been there before. Like it's like sadly looking down. That's not my favorite moment. It is Pizza Patrol related, but he's so good. This is my favorite Paul.
That would not go well moment
episode. Yeah, that's you know what it is.
I love that moment.
I want to give a brief shout out to Pizza Patrol. It is a very small one location in Moorhead, Minnesota, where we went to college, and it just had like the exact right name for like a small Minnesota town. A pizza place where it sounds like it's a chain, but it's not. Yeah. It's just this one.
Man, there's so much good stuff in this episode that I always forget about. It was like hard to edit because everyone had such good moments all of the time, and it wasn't split screen, so I had to actually pick. And it sucked.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
Dang it.
So here's Vaughn. This is our friend Tori Halverson. Is playing the creepy roommate. To be clear, the roommate was never necessarily written to be this creepy.
Yeah.
But Tori, the minute you put him in a role like this, he's like a shark. If he smells blood in the water, he goes for it. He made just.
And I mean,
absolute creepiest.
We talked about like we did it. He did his first read of it, and you and I talked about it. I'm just like, I don't think I can direct him, and you're like, I don't think we should.
I think we should leave it. I think it's more interesting.
Let him.
The one unfortunate thing about it that I feel bad is that the character is named after one of our biggest patrons. We sort of, as a little thank you to all of his support, named the character Vaughn. And then he played him like just a serial killer, and we were worried like, what is Vaughn gonna think when he sees this? But thankfully, he had a great sense of humor about it.
It's not what we think of you, Vaughn.
Yeah, no, not at all. He was just meant to be like a guy. We just needed some name for this person, and the conceit was just that weird moment when you have to try to explain Dungeons and Dragons to people who don't play, and don't really understand.
Yeah,
I'm gonna clear my throat again. I apologize. It's gross.
Yeah, it's when you feel kind of self-conscious, but also like you don't care enough about their opinion, but are still like, I don't want to have to explain it.
Right, exactly. And you just get caught in a weird conversation. Okay, we're coming up on my favorite Paul performance in just a second here.
Everybody be quiet.
So long as there's pepperoni. Can I make a little stipulation?
Just no immediately.
What is it? Could we maybe have just a little sausage? Not on my pepperoni. Okay, well, maybe on the white sauce?
Here comes. It's just little... I'm sorry, I can't allow that. Also, I did not think about the, like, obvious innuendo that's clearly there where Vanessa says to Jordan, like, could I just get, like, a little sausage? And she's, like, really flirty with him about it. And, yeah, Jordan just shoots her and he's like, fuck no. No, you can't have my sausage. Absolutely not. Which is funny. I think Steven talked to me how he was kind of playing with the idea that Jordan maybe had a little crush on Vanessa, but obviously couldn't do anything about it or whatever. So they're like a little bit flirtier than they would normally be. Yeah. Oh, Cody's Big Day.
Cody's Big Day pizza.
We gotta talk about it. So one of the pizzas that Jordan orders is a white sauce pizza with chicken and red peppers, like an Alfredo pizza, which is the signature pizza of our friend and your friend, Cody Bushy.
Cody Bushy.
Famous from first season Junior Adventures League, all hell yog. And Steven on the day pressured us into, like, we should call it a Cody's Big Day Pizza. The idea that, like, if he's this regular at Pizza Patrol, maybe Cody is, like, the other roommate that we don't see, right? That it's Jordan, Benson, Cody, and Vaughn that all live together. And he has, like, a special pizza that they make for him. Cody's Big Day Pizza. Which is what we legitimately call that pizza whenever we order it. Yeah. That's the name we give it. I don't know why, but it's Big Day Pizza.
I liked how this bit edited together too, the phone call. I thought it was like a nice texture, and it's so annoying. And he just, he's just, I mean, that's the point, but like,
completely oblivious.
I just love it. Him walking around, making noises.
Like, it'd be one thing if he, like, stepped outside to do it, but he does it in the room, you know? Yeah. Horrendous. So, yeah, it was kind of fun to get to write some of, like, my worst D&D nightmares into this thing. And Steven would love to find ways to add them. There's one moment, I don't know if we're here yet, but he looks over the screen. Like, he just leans over and he just looks back there. There's a moment where he is, like, picking his toenails, like, right in my face.
He was so gross.
He was really just the fucking worst. It's a good question as to whether or not this group would, like, last long. Like, would they have an intervention with Jordan? Like, they make it through this session, and they seem excited, but, like, some of these behaviors are not okay. Yeah. It's interesting to me. I made this turntable thing, this turnstile. I don't know what you call it. A dial.
It's cool. Prop.
It's cool. It's very, very fragile and shitty. And so Vanessa, no. Not even the right character. Kelsey, the actor who played Kelsey, Elisa, there's her name. I was like, why can I not conjure my friend's name? Was very, very cool and gentle with it. We were very much like, only let Elisa touch it. No one else can touch it. It's extremely fragile and dumb and made out of styrofoam. But I think it's cool. It fits with his aesthetic, right? Of these, like, kind of, like, scrappy homemade props. The screen is the same, right? All the little things he passes
all those little detail things that we really don't get to see too much of, but, like, just add such good texture to everything.
Yeah, texture is a good word for it. Setting up the party splitting moment here for next episode. Yeah, it's just fun every season to look at like what are the D&D tropes we have not done yet. You know, we've never done PvP in the first season. We never did splitting the party. You know, little things like that. It's gonna be interesting in future seasons to see which other D&D tropes we're gonna hit on. Ooh, it's
Lisa's reaction is so
God,
good.
she's so good. What a fucking dork. I love how dorky they are. It's like almost too dorky. It's like you wonder like what is their life? Like why are they so excited about this?
I don't know. I feel like
no, I don't think it's bad. I just like it. I like that it's this little window into like wow, they love puzzles. Look how excited they are. It's great.
I remember you hated that on the day. You were like really worried about how that would turn out. Their like elongated reaction.
Well, because it's just because then there was nothing after it, right? We shot the episode and they went, and then it was just dead silence in the room, and I wasn't thinking about that. Like, well, you would just cut in the middle of that, right?
Yeah,
you don't let them get all the way to the end, and then they just sit there, in deafening silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, in episode 5, obviously, it works out great. It's a very cool moment. Yeah, guys, hey, that's 4 episodes of the second season already. What did you think about them? Did you like them? What is your favorite Paul moment? I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say, but it has not happened yet in the show, so you'll have to wait. Yeah, mine is definitely that very subtle like. Oh, he's not even like mean about it. He's just like, I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not gonna work. What else can we say about Paul? What else?
He's a great hugger.
He's such a good hugger. Boy, what a hugger. What a huggy boy. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope that was fun and enlightening for you, as it was for us. If you liked it, please leave a comment down below. Ask us some more questions. We'll be happy to answer them. We will be doing another one next week with episodes 5 through 8. Which, yeah, that's where it really picks up. That's where some shit goes down in those episodes. It's kind of the belly of the beast. That'll be fun. Kate, do you have anything cool you want to like announce or talk about? Any promotional stuff you want to do? Anything big happening in your life you want to tell us about?
Yeah, I have launched my Patreon for Postmortem. So,
woo!
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Yeah, so if you like horror films or listening to people review them in or out of context, go check it out.
Also, when they drunk, right?
Sure. But drinking's not necessarily like, you have to do that. But if you also
but the people who drunk reviews is more what I mean, right? Like I'm on a couple of them, and it's a fun time, and you should go check it out. We will probably post a link to it below. Go check out her Patreon. You can check out our Patreon as well, if you haven't already, which I would presume that you probably did. But if you like this content or that content, support one or both of us. Yeah. Or support the one that you like the most.
And make sure that
that you post about which one you liked the most. Competition. Yeah, great. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will be back next week with more episodes. This is XP Weekly. I'm Timothy.
And I'm Kate. Da, 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 da.